Okay. Oh, all right. Oh,
I think you have to
hold on 1 second. We'll get this right in a minute. Sorry, everybody. All right. Carolyn, can you see me?
Yes.
Can you see me there? All right. So we are live. I've sort of got the dog on the sofa with us. So first of all, if I could, I'd like to say good morning to Gregor, who is by my right side. My puppy Cachorro is reminding me he's got his bum right on, almost on my lap. So we're saying hello to Cachorro, who is snuggled down beside me, and say good morning, Carolyn.
Good morning, Carolyn.
Who is to my far right. And we have Al. Say good morning, Al.
Good morning, everyone.
And so before I forget, I'm going to just dive into this. The competition has ended. I have actually read, there were so many stories, but I've actually read through them all. I personally have read through them all. We've had some, great entries. Unfortunately, we've had 1 or 2 entries that didn't stick to the criteria, which means that you're automatically disqualified from winning. However, having said that, I've still read stories, and we'll be sending everyone who's entered, we'll be sending them an email thanking them for the stories. And if I can just say, I'm proud of all of you who have entered, because it's a big thing, and it's to share your story and to share your heart, even, with a stranger, even if it's only me. Takes a lot of courage, and for some people to also revisit. And I think that's what I found a lot during many of the stories, is that people were revisiting situations that that they'd tried to put behind them, and then to sort of bring them up again and to examine them, and at the end of the day, find humor and inspiration from them. I think it's a hard thing for people to do, but I'm very, very proud of all of you who entered, and thank you so much. We will be sending the winners. There are 3 winners, as you know. I'd like you all to win, but you can't all win. So we're going to be sending the 3 winners an email letting them know before I announce the winners, and I shall announce the winners next week. So we're pretty much done with that, and we're now working on another competition. Who knows what that will be? Maybe I won't make it so hard this time. Maybe I won't make people write a composition, because I know it's hard for people to write, but I'm so amazed. I do have one other thing to say, and I will read next week again with the winners. I don't know if any of you remembered my friend Jeff and Andrea, my friends Jeff and Andrea Galuza, who were here a few weeks ago, and they actually came sat on my sofa with us. And Jeff did send his story, and I have to tell you, of course, I wouldn't expect any less, because as he said to me today, I called him today, and as he said to me, well, we've been around you long enough to know I have to listen to what you say. And it's hard sometimes to listen and to follow the rules, especially when the rules are not written down and they're just verbal rules. When I say no more than 600 words, I'm afraid that's what I actually mean. When I say, there has to be a sad chair, a happy chair, and an inspirational chair, I'm afraid that's what I mean. And some of you will be listening thinking, uh-oh, we messed up. You didn't mess up, because I read your stories and they were brilliant. Some of them were really, really brilliant and very, very inspirational. But Jeff actually did exactly follow the criteria. And if I didn't know him, he would have won or been one of the winners, certainly. But I called him this morning to tell him the good news and the bad news. You've won, but you don't get the prize. So, but he said to me, well, I've already got the prize. I don't know if Jeff's with us this morning, but anyway, he did a really great job, as many of you did, as most of you, in fact, did. All right. So I think what we'll do is we'll dive in with our first question. So, so we have some questions that came through email. So Carolyn, why don't you give us the, unfortunately, we only have time for a couple, but do you go ahead?
You got it. And this one's a little long, so pardon me. H. Marie asks.
Good morning, H. Marie.
You said that we had a choice in our attitude. This is something I have wanted to ask because I've followed the law of attraction to always have a positive attitude. I was given medication that took that choice away from me. It did something to me physically, to my brain, that I became very suicidal. I had another tragedy at the very same time and thought I was grieving, and that's why I was so sad. I didn't realize it was the medication. It affected my cognitive functioning. I was scared and felt like I was in another world with extreme anxiety and very, very suicidal. I was on the medicine for 2 years. It took my choice to be happy away. All I could do was cry. Stopping the medicine doesn't make you better right away. It takes at least 2 years, and they were putting me on different medications, and I was having the same reaction. For a total of 9 years, it completely changed my life. I went from being capable and working and taking care of my children to not even being able to fix my meals. What about when something like this happens? This is happening to many, many people. There are many Facebook groups with hundreds of people this is happening to.
Yeah, and Marie, I know what you're talking about because I've actually personally been in that situation. And maybe in a few minutes I'll tell you my story. But yes, I do understand that medications can take away our choices. Environment can often seem to take away our choices. You know, I mean, for instance, the person who's locked in a room and only fed once a day doesn't have a choice of you know, where they should live or how they should behave and so on. But as someone once told to me a very, very long time ago, nobody can, you know, you can be a slave and you can be owned by your master, but no one can own your mind. You can have someone own your body. You can have someone control, you know, what you do and how you do it and so on. Nobody can control what's going on in your head. No one can know what you're thinking. No one can know what you're feeling unless you let them know. So even though the choices seem to be non-existent in those situations, there are still choices. So whether they, you know, not so great, but there are still choices. And for those of you who are suffering with medication, the problem is that when you are on medication, it's for a reason. You're either in immense pain or you're emotionally in immense pain. Nobody, well, I'm going to say this, and I don't think anybody willingly, even drug addicts, even people who are, you know, get hooked on drugs, I don't think anybody willingly pops a pill into their mouths and says, let's get hooked on this. So nobody willingly goes in for this, but there are certain points even throughout. And hopefully, Marie, you took, you know, maybe it did take you 9 years, but your will, your choices were eventually to fight this and to get off this. And I commend you for it. I think it's wonderful. So even though it might have taken you a tremendous struggle to you know, force those choices upon yourself, to insist within yourself and inside of yourself that you were not going to let anybody else control you, you know, you did get through it. For those of you who are suffering, who are listening to this and suffering, for those of you in these groups, I think it's wonderful because you made a choice to join a group. You made a choice. You made a choice to try to help yourself. I mean, that's tremendous. We do have choices, even though they sometimes seem to be so limited as to be non-existent. We still do have choices. You can allow someone, or you maybe don't have a choice for someone to beat you physically, but the only person who can allow you to be beaten emotionally is you. And it takes courage, but there are lots of people who are there to help you if you reach out. If you only have the courage to reach out, go online, find these groups, see if they can help you. There are many things that you can do. And, you know, if you have a doctor who's feeding you this stuff, you've got the choice to say no. You know, you've got the choice to say no. And if the doctor's saying, you know, no, you've got to have this medicine, get a second opinion, get a third opinion, get a 10th opinion, whatever it takes. If you feel that you are being abused in some way because being given the wrong medicines or someone insisting you take the wrong medicines, it's called abuse. So if you feel that you're being abused in some way or another, find your way to a phone and pick up a help, call a helpline. Find your way into another doctor's office. Find your way somewhere. You have choices, even if they're limited. You have choices. So I can't stress enough. Al, do you want to say anything about this? Do you want to make a comment at all?
Yeah, I think I actually have a very good friend who's going through a lot of, he's going through actually cancer. He just had a hip replacement. And I was speaking to him actually the other night, and, he's someone who really would have, you would think would have a really negative attitude about things. He has a really bad cancer, and now he has to have his hip replaced or had his hip replaced. And when I tell you his attitude is amazing and affects him, in a positive way, you wouldn't think that he had cancer. You wouldn't think, when speaking to him, that he would have been going into hip surgery. But it makes a difference, and it's not always easy to do based on circumstances.
It's often hard to do.
Yeah.
And there are many of us who have the capability of doing that, but there are many of us who, for one reason or another, don't. So get help. Find someone to talk to. Go online to a helpline. The best, one of the best places to go, and I will always sing the praises of the Salvation Army. In England, we call them the Sally Army. Go to the Salvation Army. There are, you can call a helpline and you can find help. If at all possible, you can find help. I know there are people who can't, but they're few and far between. Shall we have one more online question?
Well, we just had a couple of comments.
Okay, great.
About the medicine. Somebody said, Zinni said we need healers, not meds. Which do you?
Oh, yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, you're right, Zinni. I will tell you briefly my story because I am a healer and I have a team of healers, and it's easy, Zinni, to say that, and I agree with you 1,000%. However, not so very long ago, I have kidney issues, and in fact I only have one kidney because years ago I had a problem with the other one, and I had 2 major surgeries and all the rest of it. We don't really want to go into that, but consequently I now have just one kidney, and which is not always in good condition. I have some issues with that also, but fairly within the last 3 or 4 years, I had what turned out to be a massive kidney stone. Hidden behind this massive kidney stone were other smaller kidney stones. This kidney stone was 12 millimeters by 7 millimeters. A friend of mine said, well, that's as big as a piece of jewelry. It's like, which it is. And they couldn't go in and smash it as they normally would because of the condition of the kidney. They could not take it out because of the condition of the kidney. So, the kidneys are very vascular, bloody. Anyway, so the only choice was for them to do this sort of weird surgery where they had to go up inside. I'm not going to describe any more of it. Needless to say, I was in the most excruciating pain, and in fact, I'd gone to England, and then I'd been in New York, and gone through part of the process of removing the stone, the big stone, and then I came back to Florida for some reason or another, and I was in so much pain I literally collapsed on my knees in the car park in Publix grocery store. Now, when you're in so much pain, you can't, there comes a point you can't handle it by yourself. I'm a strong person. You can't handle it by yourself, and I had to take these drugs, which I ended up. I was taking this. The whole process was like 2 years or something, but I was taking the drugs for just over a year, and then I thought, got to stop taking these wonderful Vicodin, which there's a very high price on the street for Vicodin, let me tell you. But it was a potent, you know, amount because, you know, because I was in a lot of pain. But I can just say this, it took me months and months to come off it, because unbeknownst to me, I was taking it for the pain, and unbeknownst to me, I actually got hooked on it. And I'm quite happy to sit here and tell you that I was a druggie for quite some time. I was very determined, and I had, you know, very determined to come off it, even though I was still in pain. But it took me months to, I got it down to a half a pill a day. And I would go to bed at night thinking I'd, you know, got off it. No, didn't take that half a pill. And I would wake up in the middle of the night with my skin crawling and all. You know how you hear, or with drug addicts, they get all the spiders up the wall and creepy crawlies all over your body. That really does happen. And I would have to then at some point take this half of Vicodin, because I just was pacing the walls. So look, when I tell you that things are easy, I'm talking from my own personal experiences. They're not easy. And when people are in pain, and I mean, I was lucky. I got myself fixed, and they finally got rid of the stones. But so there's no more pain. But there are people who are in pain all the time for one reason or another. So yes, of course, Zinni, we do need healers, but we also need people to understand and to be somewhat sympathetic towards people who do struggle with medications and they can't get off of them, and they do need help. And if they're not strong enough themselves, remember, I'm a strong person. It took me a long time to get off this, and I was determined to get off it. And in fact, I don't think I'd have been able to do it except, truthfully, get rid of that half a pill, except that I actually went to Italy, and the time change and all the rest of it screwed up my body, the metabolism. And that was that was how I was able to finally get rid of that half a pill. It's called jet lag. And so, you know, I am in sympathy. I'm not saying it's easy. And we should, all of us, try to understand, even if we haven't gone through it ourselves, we should try to understand when people do have to go through these things. Not everybody is strong. But there are, as I've said, Salvation Army. There are so many organizations and helplines and so many places where people can go. So please, 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 don't think that people are going to, you know, turn you away. Don't feel that you're going to be rejected. And if you are rejected, keep on trying. Be brave, be brave, be brave, be brave. And just try and see, you know, if you can find somebody who can help you to help yourself. Do either of you guys want to comment on that? Al?
Nope.
You didn't know that story, did you?
I didn't.
Very few, you did?
I've heard it a couple times, yes.
Very few people know that story because why would I tell anyone? But in these circumstances, I'm happy to share my own private experiences, because I do feel that somebody out there just might be listening and be inspired. Do we have any more comments from anybody before we?
We have quite a few comments of good for you, Rosemary. And
well, it wasn't really good for me. It was the jet lag that really did it then. And you know, I mean, never mind what was good for me. Please send your prayers and your healing energy to all of those people who don't have. I mean, I've got Grey Eagle, for goodness sake, and it took me over a year. And I've got Grey Eagle, and I've got the Spirit World. I've got all those people helping and supporting me. And it still took me that amount of time to do it, because when you get hooked on medicine, your entire body changes and your physicality changes so much. And these drugs are given out so readily and so easily to people. And my heart and my sympathies really do go out to all of those people who are suffering way more than I ever did. I mean, I told my little story, which only lasted for a short amount of time. And there are people out there who've been struggling for years and years and years. So, you know, thank you for being nice to me. But, you know, put your energies and your love to those people who really do need it, because I'm good.
Do you have any advice for somebody who, let's say, feels they've been depressed and they go to the doctor? how do you determine whether, or how does your doctor determine whether you need medicine or you need to go talk to somebody because you don't really need medicine?
Well,
you need to clear something up.
Well, okay, the doctor, very often doctors are overworked and I was going to say underpaid, and some are underpaid, but not all of them, but very often doctors are busy and they see 1 trillion patients, and maybe they've just been talking to someone who's dying, and then in you come with, and you seem like you're moaning and complaining because you feel depressed. And so, you know, doctors are not always sympathetic, or it's just easier for them to prescribe something for you. Look, you've got to be your own advocate. When I go to a doctor, believe you me, before I put one Vicodin in my mouth, I don't take any medicines. I'm a very old lady. I do have creaky bones from time to time. I have these kidney issues and what have you, but I do not take any medicines. And if anyone who knows me sees me take an aspirin or an Advil or something, they know that there is an issue with me. Must be feeling really rough. Because I really, right, Carolyn, I will not put medicine in my body. So be your own advocate. And if a doctor says to you, here, I'll give you this prescription, don't take it. Tell the doctor, I need to talk to someone. I need to talk to someone. And I just, need to talk to someone, run this by someone. Some of you will need medication. However, you need to say to the doctor, okay, I'm going to take this, but I'm only going to take it for 3 months, and then I want you to reassess me. Be your own advocate. Or if you can't be your own advocate because you are so unhappy or depressed or whatever it is, find someone who loves you to be your advocate. Go to the Salvation Army. I keep mentioning the Salvation Army. Go find a helpline where you can find someone who can be your advocate for you if you're not strong enough to be your own advocate. So that's what I'm saying. And before you pop any pill in your mouth, and I'm very serious, I will not take. I've got to be really in pain. I mean, sometimes I get stuck on the sofa. My back is seized up. I can't get up, and I'm hobbling around. I'm sort of bent over double. I'm chuckling to myself because I'm in absolute pain for, until I straighten my back up. And I will not take a pill, but that's just me. I'm tough, I'm strong, and I'm stubborn. And not everybody is those things. I get it. But before you pop a pill, please think twice. Be your own advocate and go to your doctor and say, I've been on this long enough, we need to reassess what's going on with me. Al, do you have a comment there?
I would say, and do your research too, right? I mean, don't take it on yourself to, do only what you research, but look around. Homeopathic solutions, other things you could do lifestyle wise to change, to get yourself healthier, exercise, diet, all those things. Do your research and ask the questions of the professionals, and be educated about it. All that stuff is out there now.
Educate yourself. Be careful though, because I know that
exactly.
I know that my mother, because this was before the days of computers, and she kept this huge tome, this big giant book she kept by the side of her chair. It was a medical dictionary, and at night time she'd flip through it and decide what was wrong with her. And then the next day she'd go to the doctor and, describe the symptoms. The doctor, she got to a point where her doctor's office she had to walk up a long driveway. And she came home one day furious because she knew that her doctor had seen her. She'd seen the doctor looking out of the window, seen my mother coming up the drive, and instructed all the doors to be locked. My mother's banging on the door trying to be let in, and they're saying, sorry, surgery is closed, and they wouldn't let her in, and she was furious when she came home, not realizing that she's this major hypochondriac and the doctor just had enough. Doctors are human too. And so don't, be careful. Don't convince yourself you've got things that you don't have. Educate yourself, but don't diagnose yourself. Yeah. Yes. All right, Al, let's have a question or a comment or whatever. And I'd love to hear comments. So
Lisa actually said, she wondered if drugs had a role in her own son's suicide. Um, uh, Sharon has a question, though. Sharon has a question about Gray Eagle, actually.
Yes.
When he isn't helping you, she says, read people. What does he do the rest of the time?
He doesn't. Okay.
So
Sharon,
she said, when he isn't helping you read people, what does he do the rest of the time?
Sharon, you're lovely. But let me just point out to everybody now, we don't read people. We don't read people. What I try to do, I know it's hard because everybody likes to, use the word readings. Give me a reading. Will you do a reading from, which implies that you're reading people, but I don't actually read people. I'm actually talking to one-on-one, and Greg also one-on-one with those in the spirit world, which is a very different thing. I'm not scanning you or looking at you when I'm giving you a consultation. I'm actually talking to your loved ones in the spirit world one-on-one, and they hope they're talking to me too. So we're actually having conversations. So what I do, as opposed to many people who do similar things to me, what I do is I give consultations. I do not give readings. So, but I do. But Sharon, having corrected you, and thank you. That's a good question. So what does Grey Eagle do? Grey Eagle has lots and lots of things to do. It's got his hand on my shoulder, squeezing me as we're talking. He helps me because, we don't just do the YouTube thing. We're often working. We're often doing lots of things. He helps me with my writings. He helps me in my life. He helps me with all sorts of situations that come along. He's right there with me. But, he is also a healer. So, there are lots of people that we send healing to. So we actually lead a very busy life, the two of us. So he's always on the go and making sure that, whatever we're doing is the right thing that we're doing.
We have another question about Grey Eagle.
Yes, go ahead.
Melinda asks, can you please ask Grey Eagle what time period he was here on Earth?
Good morning, Melinda.
Melinda.
Yes, 1819 to 1918. How about that? Didn't expect me to answer so fast, did you? Yes, but there he was. And yes, he was very much involved with the treaties that they signed, that the American nations signed. And you can actually when I met Grey Eagle when I was in England, and I knew nothing about the Native American community in any way, shape or form. And the last thing I expected, I have to tell you, I thought I was going to get a Scotsman. If any of you have read The Eagle and the Rose, you all know that I was expecting a Scotsman, and I did have a Scotsman for a while because my ancestors are Scottish and Welsh, and so I was expecting a Scotsman. For me to find myself confronted by a Native American, and I was not involved in the Spiritist churches. I had no clue why that it should be this way. I mean, it was just a huge shock to me. And in fact, I didn't want a Native American. I wouldn't change it for anything in the world, but I didn't want it because it just sounded so ridiculous and so farcical to me. And so had I had my choice, it would have been an ancestor. It would have been a Scotsman or possibly a Welshman or what have you. Certainly, I mean, I was in England. The only thing we knew was cowboys and Indians. The cowboy movies that occasionally we'd see on the, at the movies on the Saturday afternoon at the flea pit, that we used to call it, the cinema. Close to us, and so it was amazing to me, but it was also, I thought, I was very disappointed because I thought when I talk to people about this and I say, well, I've got this Native American, describe him and all the rest of it, who on earth is going to believe that? Because I certainly, had I not seen it with my own eyes, I would have never believed it. I would have thought that I was crazy. If I was listening to someone like me describing Grey Eagle, I'd be saying, "You've got kidding. Come on, who do you expect is going to believe that?" and then when I came to America, I had a very, very good friend of mine who said to me, you know, Rosemary, I've been thinking about this. She said, you know, and I was about to go on TV, on the national TV show in this country for the first time, which was the Larry King show. And she said to me, you know, I've been thinking, she said, I think that you should say that Grey Eagle is a Hopi Indian. I said, really? She said, yeah, a Hopi, or I forget what other she mentioned. She said, yes, because they're known for their gentleness, their artistry. They're known to, you know, they're known for this, that, and the other. And I just looked at her and I laughed. I said, well, why wouldn't I say that Grey Eagle is Apache? She said, because they were the dreaded, they were the feared, they were the vicious, they were the. I said, you mean they were the warriors? And she looked at me. She said, yes, you know, as crazy as it sounds, I can't lie about it. So I went on the Larry King show and talked about this weird Apache, and of course risked everybody thinking I was nuts, and maybe I'm a little bit. All the nicest people are a little bit crazy, aren't they? But there we have it. So that's that.
Melinda says, thank you. My husband is Native American and I am Alaska Native.
Oh, nice. Well, good. Well, thank you for asking. Al, do you have anything, a comment or a question or anything going on there?
Denise actually has another related Grey Eagle question.
Oh, wow. Go all about Grey Eagle today. Wow.
She says, I've heard from many spiritual leaders speaking of how we must come together to pray together to bring about peace. Have you heard from Grey Eagle how we can bring about this sooner rather than later?
Yes, I actually have, because Grey Eagle and I have had many, many, many conversations about this. And his advice to us all, you know, one of these days, I have a whole book that has never been published yet with Grey Eagle's sayings. It is the most stunning. Maybe I should start promoting this a little bit, talking to you about this. It is the most stunning and the most it's the most incredible and moving his accounts. And what we did was asked him lots of different questions about pretty much every subject that you can imagine on this earth. You know, even to politics. And religion, and you know, all of the trials and tribulations, and his wisdom is just so stunning and moving, and of course, you know, all written down, and of course not finished yet, because you know, we're still here and still doing this. So but one of the, you know, the questions that I did ask was about the trials and tribulations and so on. I mean, we've been talking for many years, so there are lots of questions. But the one thing that stands out that he said to me, which I can only impart to all of you, and he said it in such a gentle way, because he's a gentle giant, I have to tell you. He's just an incredible, beautiful person. And he tells us quite in his gentle way, your world needs gentleness. Your world needs gentleness. Your world needs kindness. And we can only, any of us, affect the world that we live in our own small way. But if all of us, if every one of us were to take notice, if every one of us were to do this, the more we do this, the more we promote gentleness, and the more we promote kindness. He's very, very firm about this, that the thing that in our world that is lacking in a big way, not necessarily individually, but in a big way, the thing that is lacking about our world is the gentleness. And if you look at the politicians that we have today, where is their gentleness? I mean, everybody thinks that, you know, that if you show gentleness or if you show kindness, then you're showing weakness. Oh, no. There's so much strength in being able to be gentle. There's so much strength in speaking softly. And Grey Eagle also says, in your own home, in your own community, you know, walk softly and speak gently. And he's always saying that, in your own home, where it's so much easier to actually snap at people and get irritated with the people you love the most. But what he's saying is, in your own home, in your own community, walk softly and speak gently. And so that's what we need, you know. And I was talking about this to somebody yesterday. We're talking about patience, and I have infinite patience for most things, and no patience whatsoever for one or two little things. And but even when I've lost my patience, and particularly if I've lost my patience and I need to upbraid someone or to take someone to task about their attitude or whatever it is they're doing or however they're being, I'll always when my friends will know when my voice gets really soft and when my attitude gets sort of down here is when I am at my most deadly. Right, Caroline, you're laughing, aren't you? You're laughing. When I'm really quiet and my voice becomes low and I become really, really calm is when I'm at my watch out. My daughter, her eyes start to widen whenever she sees that. Yeah, get out of here. You know, get away from me, because she knows it's coming. But it'll always come softly and it'll always come usually gently. I've tried gently. All right, enough about me today. All right. Let's have another question. Yes?
Got to leave in about 7 minutes. So
okay.
Do you mind if I read the last?
No, read that. Okay.
Susan asks.
Good morning, Susan.
Why sometimes do angels guide us over to the other side, and sometimes our loved ones meet us to take us through? I know you have said that sometimes people need healing, like in cases of suicide or an overdose, and so angels take them to a spot to heal first. But wondering what other reasons.
All right, well, let's just clarify first of all, when our loved ones come to help us to cross that divide, that doesn't mean that your angels aren't there too. So because our loved ones, when they come to us, they need our angels just as much as we do. So when our loved ones come, our angels are also with them and helping and guiding as well. And when someone needs to be put in a good environment or a safe environment, our angels make sure that those family members who come for us are those family members who are able to give us that healing and to give us that comfort or that reassurance that we need. So we're always protected by our angels. So none of us passes into the spirit world without at least an angel or 4 or 5 or however many helping to carry us and helping to take us to that place of light and to that place of love. I hope that answers that question. Who answered? Susan. Okay. All right. So Al?
So Priscilla asks, when
Priscilla.
someone Priscilla, yep. When a person passes away in an alcoholic state, are they conscious when they leave the body? Physically, they're totally kind of, consumed by alcohol. They're trying to understand, Priscilla.
Very often, it's not just people who are drunk or out on alcohol or drugs or whatever it is. There are many people will pass at that point, that moment where the cord breaks. Many of us will have confusions in our heads, either through drugs or alcohol induced or whatever it is. And we still are often in that confused state. I think that the moment of clarity comes the further we move out of our body, and our body is no longer tied to the effects of the drugs or the alcohol or whatever it is. That's easy to combat. We can get over that quicker. But when somebody is emotionally distraught or, emotionally damaged, that's harder, because we're taking that with us, because our mind, our thoughts all go with us. That energy all goes with us. So if someone has, passed out due to drink or drugs and then dies, I hate the word dying and death, but you know what, I'm using it because it's much more understandable. But when someone dies in those circumstances, yes, the mind is muddled, but it's more about the body and the chemicals in the body that are causing that muddling. It's when people are emotionally confused. And often if you're a drinker or if you're taking drugs, of course you're emotionally messed up as well. So that emotional state takes a while. You don't have an immediate, as soon as you leave your body, you don't have an immediate moment of clarity knowing where you are, and often people are much more confused, which is why our loved ones come to help us, which is why our angels come to help us, which is why we do need the help of those people, of our angels and so on, to help us to pass and to help us to heal. Shall I have another question?
I tried to get a first name, but the untubed.
The what?
The untubed.
Okay, the untubed. Okay, well, that's okay. We don't mind if you don't want to give us your name. It's really fine. But I'm going to call you Tubi then. So good morning, Tubi.
Personal preference, right?
Yeah.
This person wants to know, could I become a healer, and how can I become a healer?
Everyone is born with the gift of healing. I love this question. Everyone, Tubi, is born with the gift to heal, and every one of us is capable of giving healing. And I'm guaranteeing you that at some point in your life, whether it's because you've held a child who's crying, or whether you've held somebody's hand if they're upset, or if you've just, sent a gentle thought someone's way, that you're sending out that healing energy. But if you want to learn more about that and to become more involved as a healer, it's really, I would love to be, I don't have anyone that I can recommend to you. I mean, I have, 2 or 3 names of people in England I could give you. I don't even know where you are in the country or even in the world, Tubi, so can't recommend anyone to you. But my suggestion is to find perhaps a Spiritist church. I'm not recommending. I'm saying you be your own advocate and be very careful about who you believe and who you don't believe. Be very careful about getting involved with people, because not everybody knows what they're talking about. And sometimes you find it's the blind leading the blind. You might have someone who says, oh, yes, I'm a healer and I can teach you, but they're not necessarily doing it in a way that's right for you. So be critical. Don't be afraid to be critical. And don't be afraid to be, to be careful and to listen carefully to what people tell you. The healing process it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. We will be talking about healing when we do our workshops. We're definitely going to be talking about healing. And one of our advocates, one of the people who's going to be helping us is my friend Kay in England. I know she won't mind me mentioning her name, Kay Warburton, and she's an amazing healer. She lives in England. She's been my student for many, many years. We have, we have some names of people. As I said, don't know where you live. Email me, Rosemary at rosemaryaltea.com. If we can help you, we will. Other than that, find a Spiritist church that can help you, and just don't be afraid to be skeptical. Do you have anything to say to that?
Yes, I was just going to say another benefit of joining your online classes is it will form a community.
Yes.
So, somebody else near where this person lives may be able to guide them in the right direction.
Yeah, and also, with the what we're going to be doing, the online classes, if you don't want to do them, it's really fine. But these online classes will teach you so many things about yourself, so that you will have the confidence to go out there and find out about healing. But we'll certainly be talking about healing, and certainly be talking to people about how you can heal, number one, yourself, and then how you can, give healing to your family. We'll be certainly talking about those things amongst all the other things that we're going to be talking about. Al, do you want to say anything to that?
Just that, we're going to be rolling that out very soon. And like you mentioned, it's, whether it's healing, whether it's kind of just digging in and learning about yourself, personal growth, it helps on so many different levels. And people like Tubi may benefit from that. And maybe they go somewhere else, like you said. But I think, people that are kind of looking for that kind of spiritual growth will really benefit from these classes in ways that you don't even recognize initially.
Well, yeah, I think I was mentioning, bye, Carolyn. Carolyn's off. Have a nice weekend. I think, you know, I was mentioning this morning that, you know, I was talking about Jeff who entered the competition. And I know that, you know, he was saying you learn things without even realizing you've learned them. And often you don't realize what you've learned until months or even years after the fact of a lesson. But these are going to be lessons to be helping people to understand more about their own spirituality, to understand about spirituality generally speaking, to understand about how we can in fact use our own energy and develop our own energy in the ways that we can use our energy. It's, you know, all those sorts of things. And as a teacher and having had a healing organization for, you know, way more than, I'm going to say over 30 years actually, and teaching people about healing and helping people to develop their healing abilities, you know, I mean, in my classes, you will learn all of the things actually that you'll be learning in the online courses, because I believe that every medium should know about healing and how to give healing and how to develop their own healing abilities, and every healer should know a little bit about mediumship and about how that works as well. We are not going to be developing, you know, not offering courses on how to become a medium, but certainly how to heal yourself, how to give healing to yourself, how to understand your power and your energy. We're going to be doing all of those things. Wouldn't you agree, Al?
Yes, I would agree. And one lends itself to the other. You know, if you,
yeah.
You know, you'll be more connected to that universal energy, which helps in really every area.
Right. And, you know, also through these, you know, these lessons that we're going to be giving, you're going to learn about your own energy and how you can develop that energy and how you can grow from it and how you can become more confident and more self-confident, more aware, you know, more in tune with those in the spirit world. You know, that's the point, is to learn to raise your level of consciousness to a point where you can, you know, connect in some small way with those in the spirit world and with your own soul, which is the most important thing. Let's have another question now, shall we?
Yes, sure. My view on beauty asked a very good question. Do we meet new people?
Sorry, who was that?
My view on beauty?
Okay, beauty. I'm going to just, you know, give you your own little names now.
And my view on beauty may have given the name at some point, but I cannot remember.
That's okay. We'll call you beauty.
So do we meet new people in heaven, or do we only spend time with their friends and family?
Oh, no, you. But what a great question.
Oh, she actually puts, it's Olivia.
Okay.
That's an Oliwia.
Okay. I'm going to stick with beauty because I think that's a nice name for you.
Okay.
So that's a great question, actually. And yes, we meet new people. We are given choices, of course, as to when or if and so on, and we can choose. We're given opportunities to have many new experiences, and so, you know, the whole process is for us to learn and to grow. And if we just was to stay with our families forever and ever, or sit on a cloud and play a harp or whatever it is you want to do, forget that. I mean, wouldn't you be bored anyway after a while? So of course we're going to be meeting new people, and when we first join our families and we get used to our environment, our new environment and our new lives, our families are going to introduce us to new people as well, just in the same way that, you know, it happens here too. So yes, I mean, it's exciting. We're going to be able to, you know, talk with people who are much more knowledgeable about things than we are. You know, we all have chances to if I say join classes, you know, it's the simplest way to explain it. It's not quite how it works, but it's the simplest way. You know, we will have opportunities to go hear people speak, to hear people who are much more evolved, spiritually evolved than we are. We'll be able to hear them speak, or to watch them work, or to watch them work as healers themselves. There are so many opportunities out there. Remember, the universe and the many universes that are out there are vast, and so that means that our choices are also vast if we want them to be. If we want them to be. Again, it'll be our choice as to how far we dare to travel. You know, do we tip our toe a little bit into the water, or do we dive straight in and swim and see what there is there? So it's always our choice and the speed that we are the most comfortable with. Let's have another question.
So Denise asked, which I think you answered, do our souls continue to evolve after death?
That's a good question, and I think we just did that one.
Yes, yes.
So, but thank you, Denise, for asking the question.
Adrian asks,
good morning, Adrian.
Is there a daytime and nighttime in heaven? Does it rain? Does it snow?
I'm asking Gregor this one. There are precipitations so then weather changes, or I'm not so sure about weather changes, but environmental changes, energy changes, different forces of energy. Just, I mean, the weather, our weather here on this earth is basically change of energy and change of force in energy. So yes, we have the same sorts of things, maybe not quite in the same way. I've never actually seen anyone in the spirit world with an umbrella. So I can tell you, I'm not sure that it rains in the same way that it rains here, but certainly there are changes and shifts in the atmosphere. What was the next part of that question? There was another part.
Does it rain? Does it snow? Is it daytime? Is it nighttime?
Is it daytime or nighttime? I think that again, there are changes in atmosphere and there are changes in energy. But is there a sun and a moon? I'm asking Gregor, this is unfortunate, it's all I can give you. No, there is not, but there is something. Maybe we'll go into that further. Now I'm intrigued. I'm going to, when we're done all of this, I'm going to talk to Gregor and ask him, what does he mean? What is that something? You see, as much as you might think I know, I only know a little bit. So I have to go to my guide and ask that question. Let's have another one, shall we?
So Bren asked the follow-up question about seeing family in heaven. If there are family members who we do not want to see or spend time with, must we, since they were family members here on earth?
No. Your choice. We all have choices. I have a patient, a very long-term patient, actually, Angie, and she, the doctors gave her, I think it was 6 months to live, and all these years later, she's still going strong. And she's a remarkable person, remarkable woman. But when she was from being a little girl until her teenage years, when when she finally put herself into hospital, her father physically, in every way, abused her. He'd take her into the woods and he'd break a wrist, or he'd break an arm, or he'd break a collarbone. She once had a broken collarbone. He'd break her fingers, and she was made to do unspeakable things. Lots and lots of really unspeakable things. And she survived until I think she was 17 or 18, when she ran away from home, and she found herself in a hospital, and her father actually was eventually prosecuted for all the stuff that he did. Now you can imagine, do you want to meet someone like that when you die? And one of her biggest fears, she's been dying for all of these years now, but one of her biggest fears about dying, because she's been very, very sick and sometimes really, really sick, was that she would have to face her father when she died. And Gregor reassured both she and I, because the last thing I wanted for her was to have to face this monster, and he reassured us that no, you don't have to be around anyone you don't want to be around. You just simply don't have to be around them if you don't want to. Your choice at the end of the day. Let's have another question now, shall we?
A couple comments.
Yeah.
My view on beauty says her name is pronounced like Olivia, even though it's spelled with a W.
Lovely name, Olivia.
Uh,
I like
the
beauty, though.
our 2B actually answered, and her name is Sally.
Hi,
And
Tubi. I'm going to call you Tubi just the same. I love that name.
and
Hi,
two
Sally.
and Tubi or Sally says that she has seen her ancestors once in her mind. She could hear them, but after her husband died, they appeared, and she said they were really old. And she also said a really nice statement. She said, "Kindness, compassion, and love promote within and to others," which I thought was really, really nice.
Fabulous. And thank you, Sally. Thank you for sharing that with us. My sentiments exactly. You know, Gregor taught me this. It takes one small person, one little tiny person. It only takes one to change the world. The world might just be your world. It might be just within your own home because that's your world. It might be a bigger world. I mean, when you think of all of the people in the world, I mean, it took one small person. It took Christ to change so much about this world and to bring so much to this world. One person. So one person can change the world. So don't ever forget that, people. One person can change the world, and that person could be you. Change your own world. Promote that gentleness and that loving kindness, please, 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 because it's so important. Al, another question?
We're right about at time. We do have one more question from Denise. Denise asks, "What's the best way to meet darkness or evil while still on Earth?"
Shine a bright light. Just keep shining your own bright light. They will never get in. They will never be able to touch you. They will never be able to touch anything about you, about your soul. You know, evil people can do damage. They can certainly do physical damage to people, and they do. But, you know, true evil touching your soul, shine a light, shine a bright light, and keep shining that bright light. And you will combat all evil. That I totally believe that. And I'll say again what I think I said last week and even the week before. You have two rooms side by side, and there is a door in the middle that adjoins the rooms. One room is filled with dark, the thing we might call evil, promoting evil. The other room is filled with light. When you open the door between them, light will spill out and dispel that darkness. Darkness cannot fill the light. There's just no way. It can't happen. Light is the more powerful. Light is the more positive. Light is what we need to shine wherever we go. And when, you know, you can shine a light just by smiling, just by a little smile, just by being nice. I went out yesterday. It was my daughter's birthday on Saturday, April 7th. So, and I went out yesterday to get her a birthday gift. And it's amazing how many people, the little people who are customers in a store, they'll pick their heads up because I'll walk in and say, "Hello, how are you?" A smile, just a nice smile, a nice comment. And, I'll talk to anybody, but I'm always trying to smile, always trying to be nice and brighten people's day. And it's amazing. People respond to that. So, shine your light wherever you go, and don't be afraid to shine your light. And I think don't hide your light under a bushel, as they say. All right. So I think, Al, we're good to go. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for your comments. Thanks for your questions. Thank you for all of those things. Those of you who sort of won the competition, the 3 prize winners, will let you know by email next week, and I will announce those names next week as well. And maybe we'll even talk about another competition. If anybody out there has an idea for a competition, we'd love to hear that too. Email me, Rosemary at rosemaryaLtea.com. And in the meantime, until we see you again next week, thank you, Al, for all your work. Thank you to Great Eagle. Couture is lying there. He's been part and parcel of this as well. I'm now going off to cook because I've got a little dinner party tonight. And I'm making pumpkin curry. And I'm making my own curry with lemongrass and all that good stuff. So in the meantime, I hope I didn't make you feel too hungry, people. Have a very, 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 very blessed, blessed day. And I've got to find that little white arrow and I can't find it. And oh, there it is. Have a very blessed day and enjoy your weekend.